Hi everybody. Hope you're having a great day today. So today we're going to be talking about the food and energy connection. And specifically, we're going to be trying to answer this question: could your diet be making you tired? Could what you're eating actually be the thing that is zapping your energy? So before I begin, quick intro. My name's Jen Costanza. I am an integrative nutrition health coach. I work with women who are struggling with burnout, low energy, gaining weight in their body, and just not feeling like themselves. And we help turn all of that around. So one of those things, obviously, energy, it's super important. We need the mental and physical energy to be able to get through our day. Oftentimes when our physical energy is zapped, our mental energy gets zapped at the same time. So, and the thing is that food is actually a really important part of that. When I have clients come to me who are dealing with not having enough energy, and it might come in the form of, and think about is, tell me if any of this resonates with you. It might come in the form of you waking up in the morning and not feeling rested, feeling like you have to drink coffee, you have to have that coffee or whatever your, caffeinated beverage of choice is. Sometimes it's something else, but for, I think a lot of people, it's coffee. Feeling like you have to have that coffee in order to get on with your day. Maybe even feeling like you have to have coffee in the afternoon in order to make it through the afternoon. Feeling like, you're at work and you're falling asleep at your desk. And even, it could come in the form of at night, not being able to sleep, and then you just end up having a bad night's sleep, and the cycle kind of like repeats itself all over again, right? So, the root causes of, this low energy, especially low energy that kind of is chronic and is happening every single day for quite a while, there can be a lot of causes of that. And diet, however, is, it's just one of them, but I like to kind of focus on diet because, or at least initially when I'm working with somebody, because it tends to be something really tangible for you to kind of like grasp onto, right? So let's talk about diet. So first of all, how can food zap your energy? The number one way, or the first way that I think of that food can be zapping your energy is by destabilizing your blood sugar. So what do we mean by that? We know that, in a very basic sense, when you eat food, especially when you eat anything that has carbohydrates in it, they get turned into sugar in your body. The sugar goes into your bloodstream, and your body releases insulin in order to counteract that. Okay, so when we eat when we eat a meal or a snack that has a lot of sugar in it, and it doesn't have to be even necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be actual sugar. It could be, anything that's like kind of like bready. Anything when you think of like empty carbs, that's really what we're talking about here. We're not talking about whole grain rice. We're not talking about vegetables, which we also know have carbohydrates in them. We're talking about foods that have simple carbohydrates like bread, pastries, anything that has sugar. When you look at the nutrition facts on a packaged food, how many carbohydrates in it, if it has any added sugars, that can also be a sign that you're going to be eating a lot of empty carbohydrates that are immediately going to get turned into sugar when you eat them in your body, and it's going to spike your blood sugar. And the issue is that the opposite of that, or what's going to happen after your blood sugar spikes, after you get that initial energy rush, is that you're going to have an energy low. And doing that all the time, it can be really taxing on your body, and that tends to be one of the things that messes with our energy and keeps our energy low. So that's the first thing that we need to look out for in terms of what can zap our energy, is fueling up on empty carbs and sugar, foods that immediately are going to get converted into sugar in your body. A second thing, and this might be kind of obvious, but also difficult to kind of come to grips with, is, drinking or ingesting a lot of caffeine. So drinking a lot of coffee, feeling like getting to the point where you're dependent on caffeine for your energy. That, it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Because we're tired, we want to have a coffee, but it ends up being that coffee actually over time, it depletes our energy, because, I'm sure that you've noticed this, that you can become, what is the word? Not accustomed to, but I'll think of it in a minute. But, you have one coffee today to get a little bit of energy, and you keep having one coffee, and soon enough you're having two to get the same amount of energy, right? To get the same effect. We become accustomed to that caffeine pretty fast. I had a friend that I was talking to a friend recently who told me that she's able to have caffeine or have a coffee or an espresso at like 11 o'clock at night and still sleep soundly, or still get to sleep at least. This is what we're talking about, having tons of caffeine during the day, getting to the point, hi Black Hummingbird, thanks for joining, getting to the point where you are you're having a lot of caffeine and you're pretty much dependent on it for your energy. That is something that can totally zap your energy. And a third thing when it comes to food, again, it's not exactly food, it's a beverage, but something that can zap our energy is dehydration. So not drinking enough water, right? Dehydration, caffeine actually can dehydrate us. Alcohol is very dehydrating. So I'm sure that you have noticed this at some point in your life. And if not, then, keep an eye out for it. How do you feel when you are getting full hydration, when you're like really doing a good job hydrating, getting those 8 glasses of water or more per day? And how does that compare to when you haven't been drinking enough water? I think that you're going to find there's quite a difference in how you're feeling in your body and the amount of energy that you have when you are properly hydrating yourself. So those are 3 things. These are not the only things, but 3 big things that can really zap your energy when it comes to the foods that we put into our body. Eating, having blood sugar spikes, eating in a way that gives us blood sugar spikes and blood sugar lows. So eating those empty carbs and sugar, drinking too much coffee or whatever it is that your caffeinated beverage of choice is, and dehydration, not getting enough water. Maybe one other thing that we could add to that list is eating inflammatory foods. So foods that are, when you're going to the grocery store, the types of foods that you're finding in the middle of the grocery store, foods that are packaged, that are processed, that go through a lot of processing, that have a label with a lot of ingredients on them. Eating foods that are fried, deep fried foods. These are all types of foods that can really deplete your energy. And, one thing that I would actually, I'm going to get to a few tips that I think are things that you can put into place when it comes to what you're eating in order to boost your energy. But I think the first thing that I would even recommend that you try doing is, this might sound a little silly, but keep a food and feelings diary. I've done this myself. I would never recommend something that I haven't done. But this is also something that I have all of my clients do. Even before we start working together, I have them keep a food and feelings diary. And basically it's not a food diary in the sense where, you don't need to write down exact portions and stuff like that. We're not interested in exact portions or calories. We're interested in, hi Stick and Fin, in getting to the point where you are able to kind of see the relationship in how you're feeling with what you're eating, right? So when I eat, these kinds of foods, how does that make me feel afterwards? How does that make me feel for the rest of the day? when you're able to get to the point where you know, looking at a meal or a snack, how you're going to feel afterwards, if it's going to give you energy or if it's going to suck out your energy, that knowledge is power. I really, really believe that. So that would be, my first tip is, just to do a little, we could call it self-experimentation or observation, observe how different foods and drinks are making you feel. But beyond that, what are some really specific things that you can do to boost your energy with the food that you're eating? I have a few really specific tips here. Hey, Rob. So first, and I talk about this all of the time. Hey, Salty Runner. Eating balanced meals. So we're going back to that blood sugar stabilization. What do we need to do? We need to eat balanced meals. What does a balanced meal look like? So I think it's funny, I was thinking about this today when I was prepping my notes for this live. I was thinking about, when I was growing up in the 80s and they had the, today we have the food pyramid, but we used to have, today we have the food plate, but before we used to have the food pyramid, and it was like, you should have this, you should have this, or you should have, certain things from all of these different, quote, food groups. When I say a balanced meal, I'm talking about it in a little bit different way. I'm talking about more like focusing on macronutrients. In a meal or in a snack, you really want to have protein. You want to have a good source of protein. You want to have a source of healthy fats, and you want to have a source of fiber. And I'm substituting fiber for carbohydrates just to be clear, that you want to have carbohydrates, but you really want the carbohydrates that you're eating to be complex carbohydrates that have fiber in them, and ideally to be colorful carbohydrates, right? And by that I'm talking about, you want to have some color in there, like from fruits or vegetables of some sort. Maybe a couple other things I could mention, when it comes to fats, having what we would call like healthy fats is really important. So we don't want, when we talk about having fat in our meal in order to balance it out, we're not necessarily talking about, butter, or, we're not talking about canola oil. We're not talking about the oil that, that comes off of a steak. We're talking about plant-based, or sometimes pescatarian oils that that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids. So that can come in the form of avocados. It can come in the form of olive oil, avocado oil, olives. It could come in the form of fatty fishes like salmon, for instance. Those are all really great sources of omega-3 fats. So on the one hand, so you're going to want to be eating balanced meals. And I just want to tell you, this can make a huge, huge difference in how you feel. So one thing that, and this kind of goes into the next thing I'm going to talk about, one of the first things that I often, something that I practice and that I often, that my clients often take up is having a balanced smoothie in the morning for breakfast. And just that one little thing can make such a huge difference in how you feel throughout the morning and oftentimes throughout the day. Any kind of the smoothie recipes that I share on here, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I have a whole kind of collection of smoothie recipes on here. I'm pretty deliberate about the way that I create those smoothies. I like them to have color, obviously. I like them to have fats. I like them to have protein in them. So we're not just having, a smoothie full of fruit, which is also really great for you, but ultimately we want to have that balance, right? We want to have protein and fats in there too. So tip 2, don't skip breakfast. Even bigger than that, don't skip meals. You don't want to get to the point where you are hungry and your blood sugar is shooting downwards, and then you're getting hangry and you're starting to feel like shaky and your energy is really dropping and you're kind of freaking out, and then you're just going to eat anything, right? We don't want that. That is a huge energy zapper. Instead, we want to make sure that we are eating balanced meals and that we're eating them at regular intervals throughout the day. So that's my second tip, is eating breakfast and not skipping meals, not skipping breakfast and not skipping other meals. A third tip that I have is also in the realm of food, is keeping snacks on hand, and particularly keeping some high protein snacks on hand. So what would be some good examples of snacks to just have easy, like grab and go kind of snacks? Maybe hummus, right? Hummus and some cut up vegetables. That could be a great snack. Another great snack to have on hand might be some kind of energy bites. I know I've shared a couple type of energy bite recipes on here before. Hey. And when I say energy bites, I'm talking about like these really easy, no-bake snacks that you just stick in a food processor. Maybe you've got like oats, some dates, some nut butter, some other nuts, whatever else in there. And then you roll them together and you have little balls, and you can just keep them and have them on hand to have a snack whenever you're kind of like starting to feel your energy drop between meals. Those are really great snacks to have on hand. Another snack that I tend to have on hand if I didn't have time to make something like that, or I don't have time to make hummus, or I'm leaving the house, is that sometimes I have grass-fed, no sugar beef jerky on hand. No, it is not plant-based, but it is high protein, and it'll kind of tide me over and make sure that I don't have that blood sugar drop that I'm trying to avoid, right? Okay, so a couple other things that you can do to keep your energy up. One is, and I know there's going to be a lot of pushback on this, but cutting down on caffeine. So if you are one of those people who is having multiple cups of coffee per day, especially if you are having them into the afternoon and especially in the evening, I really, really suggest that you experiment with cutting down. You don't have to do it all at once. You can, in fact, I would not even suggest that you cut down all at once, but do it gradually, right? So like, let's say you're having 5 cups a day. Tomorrow you have 4. Maybe the next day you have 4, and then the day after that you cut down to 3, and et cetera, et cetera. It's gonna be a lot easier. Some of us can handle, personally, I've gotten to the point where I do not drink caffeine. I drink decaf coffee because I actually enjoy the taste. And honestly, I like it now that I like being in a position where I can actually drink coffee because I enjoy it. Where was I going with this? Sorry, brain. I'm a person, if I have even, I got to the point where I realized if I was even having, a half a cup of coffee, regular coffee, that it made me really jittery, it made me really anxious, and that regardless of what I had eaten in the morning, a couple hours later, I was going to have a blood sugar drop, and I would be freaking out, and it would just overall be kind of a bad day for me. So, not everyone has that problem. Some of you might, some of you might not, and you really only know if you, if you're getting like jittery from coffee, and it's probably impacting your energy, then it's not a bad idea to try cutting down. If you are, if you're listening to this because you are having real issues with low energy, then, it's going to be difficult, but I would definitely suggest that you might want to try cutting down on the caffeine. It can make a huge difference in your life. And that pain of the detox, it goes away after a while, and then it's like you're not dependent on caffeine anymore, and that's a really awesome feeling. So a couple other things. Staying hydrated, making sure that you're getting in at least 8 glasses of water a day, if not more, especially if it's hot out, which it has been lately, or if you are physically active, if it's a day that you are, running or going to the gym or whatever you're doing, you want to be drinking even more than that 8 glasses of water a day, right? You need to be getting water. That is going to be a huge energy booster just right there. And, you know, it's funny, it's such a simple thing, but so many of us, I think, are not drinking enough water. And I will put that myself in that category too. I think that I could be doing a better job with my hydration, and I've been trying to focus on it lately, to be honest. But that's another thing that you can do. And then kind of connected to that, the coffee and the hydration, is alcohol. Alcohol tends to dehydrate us. I'm sure this is no surprise to anybody. But if you are, you know, struggling with your energy, if you're feeling tired a lot, even though you're sleeping enough hours, and you're also drinking alcohol, especially if you're doing it frequently, then cutting down or even eliminating that is going to be could make a huge difference in how you feel. So, to sum up, you're going to want to boost your energy with food. You're going to want to stabilize your blood sugar by eating balanced meals that have a protein, healthy fat, and fiber, and ideally some color in it. You're going to want to not skip meals and not skip breakfast. You're going to want to have a good breakfast that has all those things that I just talked about. You're going to want to have high protein snacks on hand in order to keep your energy up throughout the day. You're going to want to stay hydrated, and you're going to want to experiment with cutting down on caffeine and alcohol. And those are, you know, what did I say? Those are 6 things that you could focus on today to try to boost your energy and just feel better throughout your day. So last couple of thoughts, if you are already doing all of these things and you are you're still kind of feeling low energy, then, you know, definitely message me and maybe we can talk about what might be going on. If you know that if you already knew you should be doing all of these things and you're struggling to put them into practice, also I invite you to message me and we'll see what we can do to help get you on the right track with that. So that is all for today. If you have any questions, if you're watching the replay and you have any questions, please put them, leave a comment, or if you want to private message me, please go ahead and do that. I look forward to hearing from you, and I love answering questions. I love talking about food and nutrition. I'm kind of a nerd about it, so don't be shy. And that's it. I hope y'all have a great day now. Bye-bye.